See, and this is why I do the check all the time to make sure that I remember to unmute my microphone. Oh, I need to put my microphone in front of me. This is why I do the check. Yeah, there we go. All the time to make sure okay, so now we got microphone in front of us. Sorry, the whole parenting thing this morning is throwing me off. Being an hour behind on starting the stream from when I normally do, and trying to deal with kids while the wife's on work calls and stuff like that this morning. So had to delay a little bit, but we'll get started here very, very shortly. So let's see here. Is there anything I need to catch up on? Thunderstorms are not predicted to hit here until I think right now it's about 4 hours out, so I should have plenty of time to do the stream. Just after I logged off yesterday, we had several internet outages and power blips and stuff like that. Thankfully, I have a what are those called? Powerwall from Tesla, so the whole house is on a UPS. So I get a little, the lights do like a little quick brownout type thing to let me know it's flipped over to the UPS. So I don't lose stuff, but Comcast itself and their huts and stuff like that are not on my backup. So while my modem may stay up, their huts and stuff may not. So let me think if there's anything else I need to address. I don't think so. Just want to make sure. Okay, so that's all good. That's all good. Got chat open here. Feel free, and anytime we're working through stuff, feel free to ask questions or shoot suggestions or anything like that right into chat. I got it up on the side. Sometimes I may be a little slow in reading it. I'm still getting used to the whole, trying to interact with the audience and all that fun stuff. But let's see here. Let's get over to, let me make sure I get into the right screen here. Okay. So we were able to get a lot of our stuff yesterday going with the monster AI. So we've got to check the distance to the player. We select the closest player. Right now we're kind of stuck on this. I had a shower thought, and I think I know why our point array was coming back blank. Is because the way I was doing it, and this is the theory, and if this theory is correct, I'm going to feel really stupid. I think it's a one-line fix. Is because what we're doing is, remember, we're marking the cells as solid, as not walkable, and then we're calculating the A star pathing. So A star is not going to return a path because the target cell is not walkable. So if we just flip it, we calculate the path first, and then we do the mark it as not walkable. So I think that might be the better solution. I don't know if that's going to really work, because then the path is going to, we'll see. So I think it should work, because then what we'll do is we'll just subtract one. So we'll say, here's the path to the player. We're going to stop one cell short of it. And then when they actually go to move, we're going to calculate that actual full path. So that's going to be, I think, in my mind, again, shower thought, if I just move that one line of code, I think we'll fix that. And then we're going to have to work through and try to dial in our movement stuff, because I have a feeling right now what's going to happen is we're going to get all the orcs to stack up on each other and stuff like that. So we'll have to work through that, get that working. And then once we have that, we're going to work through our death. We're going to check, if all the players are dead, we got to kick up a game over screen, signal it somehow. And then if the monsters die, we need to add treasure. I don't know if I'm going to add the chest right now or not, but, we'll at least have gold. So then when we kill them, we'll do some random thing, like, I'll give them between 10 and 25 gold or something like that. I don't know what our economy is going to be. That's when we start doing items in the Milestone 4, and then we do the actual town shop. My brain is saying we're figuring out the economy in the town shop. That's also where we're going to work on escalation mechanics. I think is going to be in 5. So if we go back to our GDD and we talk about our Dark Orc army here. So we got these like basic levels of orcs, and then we got like the next level up, the feral, and then we have the war breed, and then we have these different bosses and stuff like that. So in my mind, that's going to be the escalation mechanic. And what I'm thinking right now is kind of stealing something from like World of Warcraft, where there's item levels. So each item has a level. We total up what the item level is for the entire party, or maybe even just take the average item level, something like that. And then we can adjust the spawner to then spawn monsters appropriate for that item level. So we're not, if you remember back in our GDD, if we go back here at the end, what where scope is, we have no level advancements. So our characters are not going to level up. They're not going to get better stats or anything like that. They're going to achieve that advancement via the items they pick up. And that should also, when we start adding chests in, we can also check what the current level is of the party, or the average level, and then we can use that math to and say this is the appropriate level drop, so that we don't give the Vorpal sword to the very first chest. There's a random chance of that happening. We don't want to do that because then they're super overpowered for everything. I love being overpowered as a player, but you still want progress. You don't want to have all the powers at once and just max level. I mean, think of like Feeding the Black Hole, a game about feeding the black hole. If you just had the entire tree unlocked at the beginning, what's the point of playing the game? There's no reason to keep playing. So let's see here. What else? Where are we here? We have got, so that's the death. We're going to award the treasure. Possibly, we're going to set ourselves up so that maybe we can drop an item or drop a chest. I haven't decided yet if we want to drop the chest because we have the chest open action. So we might do that. I did write down some notes because I did, kind of pluck through this while I was watching children. Some ideas. So the first one was, trying to fix that pathfinding. There is also I believe when I looked at this, my player physics code is duplicated. So I think we can clean that up and just move everything back into the actor. There are several spelling errors. I know I found one. I'm certain, if Evan, if you're out there, I know you like to watch these and pick up on the spelling errors that I do. I know there's definitely one in where did I put it here? The spelling error in the monster file. I did not spell finished with 2 I's. I only used one. So you got to get that fixed, especially because there's going to be something we're going to do today that needs that. Wait for that before we run the deactivate. Yep. And then we have, I don't know how deep I'm going to get into the new pathfinding. I did some digging into how we want to do pathfinding to make sure we arrive at the optimal square. Because, if a player's here and there's an orc right next to it, we want the other orc to come in and, be below it or above them or something like that. We want them to go to the optimal square. We don't want to just have all the orcs come from the right, hit the player, and then they just stack up on each other and they just line up waiting their turn to attack. We want to give them a little bit more intelligence than that. So I've got some ideas on that. I don't know if we'll be able to fully get that integrated. I might have to kick that down to the polish milestone. But I have some ideas on that. The other thing I want to do is, I mentioned it yesterday, and it's been bugging me, so I need to do it. We're going to go through, clean up all of our bad references, where we're going, get parent, stuff like that. We're going to keep to our mantra of call down, signal up. So we're going to go through and clean up some of that stuff. And then we're going to add in that death logic. So first, so let's, I think that's there. My server, I still haven't touched yet. So I haven't got this rebuild working yet. So I can actually use my time tracker. I think I have the VM. The problem I had when I tried to load it in the hypervisor was, it's like, hey, your hardware doesn't match. So the hypervisor VMware was being a pain in the butt. So I just punted that down the road for right now. Okay, sip of coffee. And let's get into our code right now. So let's go see where we left off yesterday. Okay, the monsters are attacking us first. We have an out of bounds index right here. And this was the problem that we were running into yesterday, because they were trying, and of course it's not going to show it, they were trying to move and there's no points in the array. So if we look here at the output, right here, our array is blank. So I think if we go into the move, here we go. Right here, where we do the activate, if I remember correctly, yeah, here's where we're setting the A star points to solid. So what we're doing is here's the target cell, but we're also saying that that target cell is now solid and not walkable. So when we calculate this path, now it's going to make it so we can't walk there. So let's take that out and let's put that right here. And then we do want to pop the move points. We want to get rid of the last, what's it called? The last entity or the last item in the array. So we do that. And then it is, what is the, I'm going to have to take a look now. I don't remember what the, so where I'm looking for. The command is for the array to, because pop gets rid of the first one. Go array, remove last element. I know it's going to drive me nuts. Pop back. Okay, that's what we want. So if we just do pop back, we can just subtract the last element. So if we do that, then what that should do is it should remove the player cell, and our target is now going to be the cell prior to that. So if we do this, in theory, cross fingers, our monster should now be able to walk to the towards the player. Okay, so let's just move our players out of the way here. Okay, well, let's move him out of the way. Yep, okay. So now they're moving till they're adjacent and they attack. Okay. Let's just make sure. Let's move him way down here. And end his turn. Move up, adjacent attack, killed. Okay, let's move him out of the way. Let's just see how well that these things will actually work. Okay, yep, and this is so they're stacking, which we definitely don't want them to do. And then they're chasing to there. So if I move him to here, he should now be the closest player, I think. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So these are the. It's probably going to move him because I think he's going to be first in the player array. But let's find out. Yep, that's what I thought. Okay. Okay, well, we got the movement going, so that's where we were struggling yesterday. So now we have the movement. Let's see here. Let's let's see. What do we need next? So we got that. We reduced the path. Okay. Let's I think this spelling error is probably what's going to be causing us some problems here, because if we're awaiting a finish signal and we don't spell the finish signal right, F-I-N-I, finished. Okay. Finished. Okay. Movement finished. Okay, so we got that there. And then I think we're awaiting that signal in the, was it in the move? We start the move. Oh, and then we instantly deactivate because I'm not doing any of this stuff. So if we do await, where did we put that again? Sorry, that was in monster. So await monster dot movement. Oops, not pop back. What did we just call that? Movement finished. Copy. There we go. So now if we wait that should make it so the orcs don't move at the same time. So it moved. Why didn't it stop? Okay. Yep, so we chopped off the last point. We went there. You know what? I'm thinking now, maybe this was the wrong implementation for the way we did this. So instead of popping that, because we have the target cell, and I think in the monster, when we move, we're looking for the target cell, right? Actor, move. Or in the physics. Physics. Here we go. Are we looking for the target cell? No, we're just going through all the move points. Yeah, we just loop through all the move points. That shouldn't be a problem. Okay. So movement finish, movement emit. Okay, are we calling this? I don't think we're calling. Whoops, oopsies. I wanted to copy that. I don't think we're calling movement finish anywhere. Move. Did we just do something really stupid? On movement finished. Movement finished, emit. Okay, so this is monster. And move. Await, movement finished. Are we calling that in the deactivate? Nope. Are we calling that in the actor? Process, movement, start move. Here we go. We're moving. Moving equals false. Oh, you know what? I think we did this in the player, but we didn't do it in the where's the player? Player physics. Here we go. Yep. See, this is what we did. Okay, so we did this. Movement finished. Okay, so we're not doing that in the orc. Okay, so let's go do that here. Actually, you know what? We can just put that in the actor right here. Set physics process false. And then we can call movement finished on yes, because we have that reference there. Okay. So we save that there. Okay, let's try that. Yep. Okay, finish moving. There. Finish moving. Attacked. Okay. We still got the stack up. We still got to work on that. Okay, look at this. See, we are very close to having a playable game here. And failed the attack. I still got to get the action points implemented. We do not have that done yet. Okay. Hey, that's a spelling error. Let's fix that. Say, I told you I had plenty of these. Turn completed. Okay. Let's resume our game. Okay, and let's move him up to here. Oops. Why did I go to the wrong cell? I wonder if it was that forced. Let's go back in here. I think it was that forced finish that caused that problem. Okay. Move, boom, boom, boom. Yeah. It was just that forcing the game to continue even with the error. Okay. Move up, attack. Okay. Then this guy should move and attack. Yep. Okay. And oh, right, because I was like, oh no, we have another error. Of course we have an error. We just killed all the players. We don't have any checking for the game over that all the players are dead. So that's an expected error. Okay. So I think that was we fixed the spelling error. Okay. Um, wait for the movement finish signal before we call deactivate. Yep, we fixed that. Okay. Let's see here. I think this reminded me of something. I think this physics process and actor, this is all going to be the same. I think all of this is the same that's in the player. Let's take a look here. Player. That looks to be, let me see, velocity, global, current cell movement, finished. Velocity, current position, so set physics process, movement finished. Do we have physics process here? We did not have physics process, but that's fine. That's not going to affect anything with that one. Okay, let's look at the else. Let's look at the actor. Direction, velocity, move and slide. Direction, velocity, move and slide. Yep, and then we just have this calculation if they're arrived at the right cell. And they're arrived at the right cell. Okay, so yeah, so for the player, we don't need this. We can just use the actor one, so we can just get rid of that. Having less stuff, less overrides means then if we need to change movement stuff, we can get both the monsters and the player in the same script. So let's just make sure we didn't break it. Move to there. And okay. So yeah, we're moving. It's moving properly. Okay. Okay. Good. Okay. So let's see. Let's do what do I want to do next? Let's do let's do our let's try to fix the oh god, what's that called? The call down signal up stuff, because I know there's definitely plenty of that stuff, especially with the like the spawner, especially is a big issue with that. Let's see, play monster spawner. Here we go. Because we did, yeah, right here we have get parent, get parent, get parent. We don't want to do it this way. Let me think how we want to do it. I think so. The monster spawner's responsibility is just to say, hey, we need to create a monster here. So I think what we're going to do, we're going to put a note in here. Need to add randomizer, monster selection randomizer. Spelling is not my forte. Okay, so we're going to add a randomizer, but what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to take a lot of the spawn logic, because our game board is responsible for tracking everybody, and I think a lot of this logic I'm going to pass to an actual spawn function in the game board itself. Let's go ahead and close this stuff down. We don't need this. We'll need that. Don't need this. Okay. So let's see here. Let's go back to our game board here. And our game board right now, we have actor move, actor attack, set up the stack. What else are we doing in here? Showing our possibilities, advancing our turn. Yeah, so this is kind of our control thing. We also have, I don't have it here, but my idea is it's still, we're going to have a overarching game manager that's going to keep track of all the, what's the word I'm looking for? Starts with a P. Persistent. There we go. Persistent data. So the game manager is going to keep track of all the, the heroes, and the items they have, the gold, and all that stuff. So between dungeon runs, all that persistent data is going to be in the game manager. Okay, let's see what else we got here. Okay. So let's think through this. Okay, so we can instantiate this. Do we need to do, because we're going to, if we use this monster selection randomizer, we're going to have a bunch of scenes. So if we pass the actual scene, like the character, to the game board. The game board could then spawn it. So we'll have this will still physically exist because it'll be in our, it'll be, let me just collapse all this so we can look at this visually and think through it all. So that will be in our spawners. The actual monster spawner will be in this tree. So it still exists. So if we do something in the future that needs to spawn more monsters, we'll have the monster spawner there. We can trigger its functions. And then so in the game board, we're going to want to add in the actors. So in here, so let's do game board here. Let's do a new function. Function actor spawn. Okay. So let's think. What do we need to know? We need to know what the actor is. That's going to be an actor. And then we also need to know where, right? So location, and that's going to be a vector. How are we going to send this over? Vector 2? Let's look at how we're doing this right now. Oops. Oops, I've used the right arrow. Try this again. Void. Okay. So let's see here. We are using, we're passing in the global position plus an offset so that we can get in the center of the tile. And then, yes, so like here, where we're passing the A-star grid, that grid is owned by the game board, so we won't have to do all this. We can pass that directly into the orc setup. Combat manager, get parent. So that is, so spawner here. We won't need this anymore. Yeah, we won't need this. So this is just going to be a group container. I don't know if we'll probably have some other logic here to say, hey, trigger monster respawn, and then I'll go through and find all of the monster spawners and respawn. So yeah, close that out for right now. Okay, so we can just take all of this. We probably want to keep this, the constant. So we're going to take all of this. We're going to cut this out. And then what we need to do is we need to do a signal. Signal spawn monster spawn. Do we want to do spawn actor? No, let's do spawn. Because if we're going to call it actor spawn and game board, I want to use that to spawn chest, and I want to use it to spawn monsters, and I want to spawn traps. So those are the three things we need to spawn with the actor spawn. So if this is a monster spawner, we're only going to spawn a monster. So when we add this to the board, we need to signal up. So we can, so if we signal, so game board needs to connect into the spawners. So if we use a, yeah, so if we go game board, we connect, monitor a signal called spawn in spawners, then spawners can listen to each one of these children when they get added and then create the spawn. So yeah, let's do spawn monster here. And then we're gonna send it out the actor and the vector 2. I do vector 2 or vector 2i? We'll just do vector 2 for now. Okay, so then in here, we're going to spawn monster.emit. And then we're going to send, for right now, because we don't have anything else, orc. And then we're going to do our global position plus vector 2. And then we're going to do offset of 4, 4. Okay. So that should be fine there. And then we come back onto the game board. We're going to put this stuff in here. Okay. So we're going to say new actor. And that's going to be the actor initiate. Okay. And then we're going to do we have a reference already to the actors? I think We do not. Okay. I'm gonna just try to keep my my logic here, my separation of stuff here a little bit better. Okay. So let's bring in, we're going to need the actors reference. We'll probably need the spawners reference at some point, but we'll just grab that for right now. Actors, copy. Come all the way back down here. So we have actors. We're going to add child, and that's going to be our new actor. Okay. And then this is going to be new actor. Global position equals the location. Actually, you know what? Let's do it here. Let's do the offset here, because this is the game board. And so we don't have to remember to change it here. So let's just omit our global position here. Okay. Come back over here. Okay. So then we'll do the offset here, which we can calculate because we have the tile. You know, we'll do probably change this from magic number 44 to half tile size. So then it stays in the center of the tile. New actor. Okay. We set up, we're going to send in the A-star grid. We don't need to send get parent anymore. This is going to be, we already have combat manager, right? Yes, combat manager is already there. So we can just register the actor, new actor. Okay. Okay, so we've got the logic here. We can spawn the actor. We have the monster spawner emitting the spawn request. But what we still need to do is we need to add in the spawners here. We need to listen to the new spawner. So should we do... I'm rethinking this. I'm thinking this should probably be just called spawn. No, I don't want to use spawn because I'm already using spawn. Just trying to think, you know, how do we want, because we need this little in-between piece here. So we need the game board to listen to a signal here to say, you know, new spawn. So let's start with that. Signal new spawn. Okay. And that again needs to send an actor and a vector 2. Okay. So then when we add in the monster spawner, we need to set up the signal. So we can do either like a get tree. We can say when the entity enters, we can then grab the signal there and connect it. Or we can do, how else do we want to do this? Because this is on the parent. We're going to be looking for the child to enter. How do we do... When we add the tile and we have a monster spawner, what are we doing right now? So let's go back here to our game board. Pick a new tile, add tile. Here we go. Tile map. Nope. Must be we're doing it in the dungeon map. There we go. Okay, so what we're doing here. Monster spawn, initiate, spawners, add the child here. Okay, so we're adding the child to spawners. Can we just do spawners dot no, I don't think we can do that. I was thinking like if we could just call spawners the new child dot connect. We might be able to do that. I don't like that solution. Let's go back over here. Let's do a you want to do it as a process. How do we do... We want to detect it when it enters the tree. So I don't think we need that in the physics process. Let me see. Do we have... I don't have the... Give me a new window. Let's set this up here. Okay. Godot, listen for new child. Okay. Okay, so how do we want to do it? So in the ready function, oh, here we go. Child entered tree. Okay, and then we can just call this. Okay, that's how we do that. Okay. So let's set this up here. So when the child enters the tree, we're going to come in here on child enter tree. We can say, here's the new spawner. And if node is, and then we did a class here, monster spawner. We can do this. And then we can do spawn monster.connect. And then we can send it to I'm just trying to think, because if we reuse a function, so like if we have a monster spawner, if we have an item or chest spawner, a trap spawner, we can still call. Do we need separate functions, or can we just bind what comes in? Yeah, we'll just call it spawn actor. We'll try it. We'll try it this way. Let's see if it works. Spawn actor. Oops. Spawn actor. Okay. And then we'll make that function spawn actor, and that's going to take in the actor and the location. Okay. Void. I know it seems like really stupid, repetitive to do it this way, but it just keeps our stuff cleaner. So we then emit, and we're going to emit the actor, and then we're going to emit the location. Okay. Oh, whoops. This should be, node dot spawn monster. There we go. So then so when this comes in the scene, okay, it's going to connect in the signal. Okay, and then so it's going to listen for the signal. The signal is going to say, hey, connect into spawn actor, which then is going to emit the signal here, new spawn, and this is in spawners. And then in game board, we need to add in the ready. We need to listen to the spawners. So spawners dot, what do we call it again? New spawn dot connect. Wow. Type. And then we called that actor spawn. Okay. So then that should now, if it gets a signal, it's going to connect down to actor spawn. Okay. So in theory, nothing should have changed. Except for everything's broken. Okay. Let's see. We got game manager was ready, and then nothing else happened. Okay, so what did we do wrong here? Let's go back. Let's just take this out for right now. Let's just make sure that that wasn't the... No, we have to put pass in here. Okay. Okay, so we broke something out somewhere. So we got as far as game manager ready. Oh, you know, we should probably put this. We need to put that in before we even draw a tile. Okay. What did we break? Let's see. What did we break? Oh, we didn't break anything. I'm an idiot. We got to run it from the right scene. Okay. Now we kind of broke something because I think monster spawner is still, deactivated. Okay. Error call and new spawn cannot convert one argument from Object to object. Oh, because I didn't define these. Oops, that's supposed to be a colon. All right. Spawn actor here is a vector 2 and an actor. Monster spawner. Actor vector 2. Game board. Actor spawn. Actor vector 2. Okay. Is that going to work? We're still error converting. Oh, do we need to do the... Because here's where we need to probably instantiate it here and then pass it. Yeah, let's try that. Let's try that. Let's take this. Let's cut this from here. Yeah, we'll come back to you in a second. So here, we need to do new actor. Let's put that here. So we need to probably pass in the orc. New actor equals orc. Okay. So then we're actually passing in the legit scene. An actual actor. Yeah, because this is just going to be the TSCN. This is going to not be the actual object. Okay. So let's do that. So then we pass that up to the spawner, pass it up to here. So it comes in as an actor. We need actors add child actor. And then here we can set the actor global position. And here we set the actor, and here we can register the actor. Okay. Let's see if that works. There we go. Okay. Sometimes these cleanups can be really problematic. Okay, moving, attacking. Okay, so that all seems good there. Let's make sure. Let's go back into our tile editor here. And tile library, entrance 2. Okay, that's set for a weight of 10. Okay, so that should get drawn quite often. Let's make sure that, let's go back over here. Our game board, our tile, where's our tile array? Here we go. Let's make sure we have entrance 2 as a possible. We do not. Let's add one more in. Quick load. Let's load in entrance 2. Entrance 2. There we go. So now when we explore, so I'm going to save this, but what I'm going to do, I'm going to put this back more to a real, like style, like a real game. So come back up here to our constant. Game board, where's our constant? There it is. Just put it back to a regular entrance. Okay. So now when we move around, it's going to be highly likely that we're going to draw the instance 2, which will have the 4 orcs on it. So, okay, it's not there. Move him down here. Okay, there we go. Why is it still his turn? Okay, so this is why I wanted to try this, because I think now we have a bug. So this was character orc spawned, orc spawned, orc spawned, orc spawn. So player 4's turn is over. What happens if we... Okay, so we have some async thing going on there. Because these guys obviously got added in, but it didn't actually do the turn right. Okay. So, again, we can move up here. We can attack. I may just jump in and put some... No, I'm not going to do animations today. As much as I want to. Okay. So he's still alive. Do. Uh-oh. Rogue, you're gonna die. Yep. And crash. How am I? I'm pretty good overall. I beyond the multiple hardware failures for my home personal server, I think I'm doing pretty decent. What do you prefer, GTA 5 or your game? I mean, they're very, very different. Um, Given the choice, like if I had to sit down for an evening, I would. I wouldn't necessarily say my game in its current state, but this style game, like a Hero Quest or Dungeon and Dragons, um, like what do they call this? Like Temple of Elemental Evil or Castle Ravenloft or any of those type of D&D adventure board games. I've definitely sit down and play those. Hero Quest is always fun. So just kidding. Fair enough. Fair enough. Okay. Let's see here. So what we did that. I think there's definitely some more we have. Where's the other one that we definitely there's a reference to the dungeon tiles that I have buried somewhere. Let's there's one of these scripts and I don't think it's the orc, but there's one of them where I definitely have a like dot slash absolute reference. Yeah, this is I am making this game in Godot. Yep. Or Godot. Sorry. If you want the proper pronunciation, it's Godot. But I prefer Godot. Just I don't know. It's just like that actress. Her name is Gal Gadot, and I always want to say Gal Gadot because I just think it sounds better. I know it's not her name, but I think it sounds better. Okay. Let's see if we can find that script. And I don't. It's not this one. Did I do it in the? Is it in the actor script? Yeah, there we go. So this right here. So we're calling parent dungeon tile map. So I want to fix that. Okay, so this actor is going to be a standalone script. It's going to go on a player that's already going to be, 2 levels removed. And it's going to be, we need a way to signal and pull that dungeon tile map. Think about that. But it looks like you have, I have news for you. First, I have questions. What version is your Godot? I'm still running 4.6.2 right now. 4.7 I know just dropped yesterday, day before. I'll probably try it out sometime this weekend and give it a shot. I'm looking forward to the asset library actually being a legit thing. But right now 4.6.2 and 4.6 on my other laptop. The nice thing about with Godot, I can run 4.6.2 here, open the same code on just 4.6 on my other system, and everything works perfectly fine. The only difference is the .2 has some like crash fixes and things like that I don't have in the other one, but I can still open the code. There's no complaint saying, hey, you added this code on 4.6.2, you can't open it on 4.6. So that's a really nice feature of Godot. So I really like that. Okay, so let me think here. Feel free to add in your other questions that you have into the chat, and I'll answer them as soon as I can. I gotta think now about how we want to pass the dungeon tile map, not using these absolute references, but we want to use them as we want to get them when we get spawned. So maybe if there is so we're using position cell. This is an actor. So when we spawn the actor, oh, you know what? We just did this. We just added this actor spawn here. We could probably use this for players as well. So when we add this and in the setup, we could pass in the dungeon tile map. You know, let's do that. Let's pass in dungeon tile map. We'll just pass it in. Whoops. Dungeon tile map. There we go. So if we do that, and we come into the actor setup here, here's our setup function. Here we go. And then we can call in the dungeon tile map. And this will be tile map layer. There we go. So what we can do is we can do this. Do we actually have... We don't. So let's just do a var dungeon tile map. That's a... I just did this tile map layer. There we go. Okay. So then here in the setup, when we do all this stuff, we can just add in dungeon tile map equals that. Okay. So then we have this. So then we don't need this part. We can just put dungeon tile map here and here. Okay. So that should be good. Okay. Unray targeted equals targeted. When we actually build our players, we might change this a little bit. This is how we can click on something. But I'm okay because this is, again, we're calling down or not. And so we know that target is going to exist. We know the player that previs is going to exist. That's why we have this check, because we know right now it doesn't exist in the monsters, but we might add that in so then we can possibly see where the monsters are moving. Don't know if we want to do that or not, but we'll see. Okay, so that should be that. Do we have any other references to the dungeon tile map in here? We don't. Let's double check player and let's double check orc. Player. Look, see, we have dungeon tile map right here. So then we can just put in dungeon tile map, because that's now part of our actor class. So we can just put that in there. Okay, so that's the player. And we did, it's monster. Oh, wait, we have monster open right now, right? No, we don't. M-O-N-S-T-E-R, monster. Okay. And do we don't have a reference there. Okay, perfect. Player, let's just double check. I don't think we have much in orc, but let's just double check that. Orc. Okay, we don't. Okay, so this should work. I'll get to your chat questions in 1 second. I just want to test this to make sure. Okay, so something saying too many. Oh, right here. For character and character list, we need to send in the dungeon tile map. Okay, that should be. There we go. Okay, and then we broke our. Oh, we didn't break our. I changed the. That's right. I forgot. I changed the spawn now, so it doesn't actually spawn with entrance tile 2. Wow, we're getting some lucky rolls here. Okay, let's just make sure this works. Come on. Let's find that orc infested tile. Wow, we are not finding the orc infested tile. Come on. There it is. Okay. And so it went to this guy's turn. Okay. So that worked fine. Okay. Yay. Good. We got that. Okay, let's take a look here at chat. Let's see what we have here. Godot 4.7 is perfect. It's so perfect version. You have to look quick, updated, accelerate projects by 30%. Yeah, I don't know about that, but I believe it's going to be a good upgrade. I'll most likely just be working in that going forward. I don't know if there's any features in 4.7 that I really am looking forward to. The animation player grouping, I definitely like that, where you can actually collapse all the groups. I've been wanting that forever in my animation player, so I can just collapse all the sprite stuff into one and doing that, especially when like my Castlevania game, I'm using like a whole bunch of layers of stuff, and I'm manipulating the number of frames in the animations, things like that, where things have to be processed in order to be able to move the entire group instead of one at a time. That's going to be really nice. So I'm looking forward to the animation player updates. A lot of the other stuff is like the vertex snapping and all that is if I do a sequel to this game and make it 3D, that stuff's going to be awesome. I can't wait to get that. So looking forward to, playing with 4.7. And like I said, probably this weekend, I'll give it a go. I will, uh, you know, probably use it next week in my live streams. We'll see. Um, yeah, I'm looking forward to it. So far, my experience with the Godot upgrades have been wonderful. Um, let's see here. I have experience with Go, so if you encounter a problem, need anything, just ask. Good luck. Yeah, thank you very much. Okay, so let's see. Is there any other places that we use absolute references with like get parent and stuff? Let's look back to our actor. So previs, are we calling get parent anywhere? I don't think we're going to. Okay, nothing there. Player, let's look up here. I don't see anything here. Get tree's fine. We're not gonna. Okay, that should be fine. Orc, definitely nothing there. Move, we'll come back into this stuff in a second, but this should all just be, yeah, that's fine. That's fine. Get tree. Okay, we're not doing anything there. Okay, we got a lot of code in this one. This probably could use some like breaking apart and, you know, compartmentalizing of the code so we can break some stuff apart. But for right now, I think we should be pretty good. Get the viewport. Make sure we don't have. I mean, there shouldn't really be any get parent because this is basically the top level. But just want to double check. Pick new tile. Get use cells. I think we're all good there. Is in group. These are all get trees, checking the groups, stuff like that. Okay, that should be all fine. This one, I suspect we might have something in here. Oh, right there, spawners. Okay. I don't think we need. How do we do? What do we have here? Okay, this is how we're adding them in. So what we need to do. Okay, we don't have a ready function in here at all, do we? No. Okay, so what we can do instead of doing this and calling up, we could set it up so that the game board on ready passes that spawners node down to the dungeon tile map. Or, you know what? No, I got a better idea. Let's make this simpler because this thing's going to be static. I mean, if we decide to come back and we add in like maybe a different style dungeon tile map, something like that, we still want to use the script. But so what I can do is instead of on ready, we can just do an export spawners and just do that. And then in here, we can just assign spawners. Boom. Okay, so that'll be easier because then we can use that, and then, you know, if we move this tile map around somewhere, that should still stay set up. Do we have anything else in here? That should work there. Spawners. We're not doing any more get parents anywhere here, right? No. Okay. Let's. Okay, I'm gonna ask for trouble by doing this, but let's try it. Let's find anywhere that we're calling get parent. Okay, here we go. We do still have just a handful. Print. Okay, I don't really care about print statements. Those are testing. This is in targeted. Okay. So on input event, if we click it, parent target name is getParent.name. This is just our targeting thing, right? Yeah, targeted. And then it's getting the parent object. I think I don't know if we really need to worry about changing this. I think this might be fine because this is always going to be a component that's going to be a sub object or sub node of a parent. And we're just sending up the parent name. Yeah. I think I'm okay with this one for right now. We'll circle back if we need to on that. Core components, melee, large. Oops, wrong button. Here we go. Here we go. Here's another one that's really monster. Get parent, target selected, target. Okay, so we need to pull from the game board. I think is where that signal comes from. Signal tile selected. Nope. Where was that pulling from? So this is the melee attack script. So then that's going to pull from the decision engine, and then the monster itself. That would be the actors. This would be the game board. Target selected. Oh, this is a function. This is not a signal. That's why. This is a function. Okay, so in game board, we have the target selected here. So we wait. This is how we call our combat. Okay. So let's think about this then. Whoops. My son, if you can't hear him screaming in the background, is very unhappy. Let's see here. So we're going back to the game board. We're awaiting the target selected. We don't have any reference here to the game board. We need to. Oh man, this is going to require a logic rewrite on this one, because then what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to signal a request. So maybe we, on this execute, we signal a request attack. Okay. And then we pass that up just like we did before with the actor node. We go, signal up, request attack, signal up, request attack. Yeah. I want to think about that one. I don't know if I really want to change that right now. I think I may want to wait on that. Monster equals get parent. Yeah, that one's fine. Okay, so it's just this one that I am a little hesitant on. Yeah, I know. I'm wasting time thinking through this logic that, hey, it works. No one's gonna see under the hood, but I still wanna do it kind of like in a keeping that pattern of call down and signal up, and this is calling up. um, in the monster, did we actually do monster script? Here we go. We don't have a reference to the game board anywhere, do we? We have targeted, but that's if that character is targeted. We have the dungeon tile map. Yeah. Yeah, I think we're gonna have to rewrite. I think this is what it's gonna come down to. We're gonna have to rewrite the way that we attack. So I'm gonna put this on my to-do list. Let's see here. rewrite attack call. Actually, let's look at Combat Manager. Let's see if we're doing anything with Combat Manager that might work. Combat Manager. Here we go. This, I think, has a reference to the game board. It does absolutely not. Okay. Oh. Actor move, register, unregister. Here's our attack. We go through all the dice pool. We emit. So this is just handling the target. Okay. Yeah. Okay. I'm going to put that on my future list. We're going to have to rewrite attack. Okay. So for right now, I'm just gonna say we finished the call down signal up. So let's move on to our death logic. So let's go ahead and check after an attack. We want to see if players are all dead. So we want to do that in. Let's think about this, because I don't want to do it in the monster attack, because if a player dies from a trap or some other card, but we still need to check before the turn is over. So we need to check it after the resolution. So let's think here. Where are we using action points? Where are we requesting the action? It's in the game board, I believe. Right now we have the menu. Where are we doing the menu? Menu. Here are buttons. So like move and all that stuff. We're going to actor move. Actor move. And then in the combat manager, we're doing this. Actually, what signals do we, maybe let's just connect to a signal, maybe. Not a signal there, but a signal in combat manager. Signal is new turn. Okay. And then we call, new turn emit. So here we have the next turn. If turn manager get action points or force end. So where do we want to check? It might just be beneficial if we just go right back to that monster, the monster decision engine, because here where we're finding all players, we may just want to put it here, because we can also use the same logic for a trap. Let's think of it this way. How about if there's a trap, it does damage, then after the trap, it can check to see if the actor's still alive. If the actor's still alive or not alive, then it can run through the check. So let's just put this here, because we're doing the decision engine. And what we need in the combat manager is we need a signal here to say party defeated. Okay. Because we need to say, hey, the party has been defeated. And so if we do that to game board, we have combat manager already. So in ready here, let's put that signal right at the beginning. So we'll do combat manager dot party defeated dot connect. We'll call it. I'm going to call it board lost, because what I want to do is the game board is going to be separate than the actual game. So we're going to say you lost the board, all your players died, go back to town, or whatever we're going to do when we get to the town stuff in Milestone 6. Was it 6? No, 5. 5? Hold on. Town, Milestone 5. Okay. So we're going to do board lost, copy, and for now, we're just going to throw this down here. Board lost, void, and then we're just going to do get tree, dot quit. Okay. So now, if the players are all defeated, it's just going to quit the game. We'll go back through and add that logic in later. We'll probably add in like some label saying, hey, you've lost. Sorry. Okay, so let's go back to our combat manager. We need to check and emit this signal from somewhere. So do we have? Oh, here we go. Oh, right there, unregistered actor. Perfect place to do it. When that actor gets removed, let's check for the signal there. That's even smarter because then when we unregister, if there's no players left in the player group, we know the game's over. So that will cover traps. That will cover any spells, cards, anything that we have. Monsters defeating them. So we remove the actor, we disconnect all the signals, and then let's do one last check here. So let's do get. We want to get all the actors or all the list of all the players. So I'm just gonna do this for right now, just as a placeholder. And then let's go back into our org decision engine where we find all players. We're just gonna grab this. Okay, we'll come back into here. We'll do var players equals this for player and get tree, get node players, possible players, append player. And then here we can just do, oh, can we just check this? Can we just check this size? Yeah, let's try that. Let's just see if we can check the size. I need this. We do if this dot size is less than or equal, for some reason, less than or equal to 0, then we can say party defeated emit. Returns. This returns an array. Get tree nodes dot size. Okay, so apparently we need to get the. Okay, let's just do var players colon an array of nodes. Okay, so we do that, and then we just say if players dot size. Oh, no, I'm just an idiot. Helps if we use the right syntax because this is a function. There we go. Okay, so now if all the orcs kill us, that should be the end of the game. It should just quit out. So let's go back to our game board. We're just going to change their starting tile here back to, let's combat manager, game board. Entrance tile 2, so we start with the orcs. Let's let all the orcs just kill us. Oh, look. That should be real fast now that we have 8 of them. Why did that do that? I think we have a weight problem here when we add tiles. So we'll go back in. We'll take a look at that in a moment here. Okay, so killing, killed. Okay, only got 2 players left. Dead. 1 player left. Dead. So why didn't it... Where did we break here? Player 4 has died. We'll remove the player. And then it did turn is over. Okay. So the player died, it removed, but at the same time it was ending the orc's turn. Are we doing a bool check on our combat manager when we re-register? We're doing a void, register actor, unregister actor. We're not returning a yes or no. So when we call the unregistered actor, and let's see here. Oh, what can we do? What can we do? Oh, we lost everybody. Let's see. So in combat, when he's killed, we're gonna unregister the actor. Should we? Can we do an await where we unregister the actor? Combat manager, tech. We're awaiting this. We're awaiting that. Target has died. Can we do an await here? Target.queue free. Do we need to do, because we're unregistering the actor. Are we calling, let's see where else we're calling unregister actor from. Here's the function, here's the await, and here actor remove. So if I do an await here, we have an await here, unregister. And then in the actual this, we'll just do a bool here. And then we can do a return true. Return false. Okay. I don't know if that's going to work. Let's find out. Let's try not to spawn the other stuff right now. We'll just try to get this done with. Okay. Done. Attack. Okay. We'll move him down to here so he doesn't explore. And, okay, everybody attack me. Oh, they're dead. We can just add in one more check right here for player and players. If players dot size is less than or equal to 0, oops, less than or equal to 0, and then we can just do a return false. How about we do that? Let's see if that works. There we go. Stack overflow. Check for infinite recursion. Yep, because it's going to cycle through all these because it's not triggering. Why are we not triggering? When we unregister the actor, why is it not triggering? Okay, let's go back. Let's go back into our... Oh, where was that last change that we just did? We did that in the decision engine, I think it was. No, it was in the melee attack. No. Move. Okay. Why are we not properly quitting out? That is a good question. Why are we not properly quitting out? So when we unregister nodes and group players, size is less than or equal to 0. Let's see if this is even being hit. Let's do a print here, and we'll just say no party alive. Okay, so we'll save that. For testing purposes, let's go back over here. It says stop. Let's do we're just going to remove these guys for right now, so we only have one character. This will be a lot faster. What? Oh, because, yeah. Oh, you know what? Okay, we'll put those all back. In here, we have a character pool, I believe. Oh, stop. Game board. Characters. Here we go. We'll just take out those 3 characters. That's fine. There we go. Now we'll only play with the one. And when the rogue dies, game over. Nope. He didn't die. Oh, because those other ones are still entities, even though we're only moving the rogue. Because these guys are still entities in the list. Okay. Let's see. Did that happen? Melee attacking. Player 2 has died. Yeah, so it never hit that logic. Okay. So that'd be why that's not working. Let's go back to our unregistered actor. Oh, I know why. Okay. Melee. Where was that again? That was in the combat manager. So this, because we're not actually removing the actor from the board, we're unregistering them, but they still exist. So we're never actually hitting this. Okay. So in the game board, where we have actor remove, okay. So that's removing it, but where was it? Was it in Combat Manager? Where were we actually deleting out the character? Right here. We're queue freeing it, and then we're unregistering it. So why don't we take this? We'll cut this entirely. And what we'll do is we'll go into the unregister actor. And then right here is where we'll put in the queue free. But what we call this character, we just call it actor. Okay. So if we do that, come back to our game board here. We're just going to delete these guys now because we removed them from the starting array. Now we just have our rogue versus 4 orcs. Okay. Dead. Did we hit our logic though? Player 1 has died. Removing player 1. We're not hitting. We hit the unregister. Let's just put these guys back in. Oops. Okay. So let's see here. Why is this? We're hitting We're hitting the unregistering, right? Because we have player 1 has died. Okay. So that was in this. Player 1 has died. await the unregistered actor. Okay, so let's go into our unregistered actor. We have been removing him from the turn. So disconnect the signal. If the actor has signal turn completed and turn completed is connected, disconnect that. We queue free him. Let's see, this is the part where we're getting to. Let's see if we're even, I don't think we're even hitting this code, but let's just double check. Copy. Print. Okay. So every time we lose an entity, this should tell us how many players are alive. So even if I attack an orc right now and kill an orc, it should tell us how many players are alive. Okay. 4 players are alive. Okay. Four players are alive. Okay. So it's not... Okay. So when we have here, where was it? Player has died. It's still having 4. So we still have 4 entities in the players group. Even though the player has died, we've removed them. It's still saying we have 4 entities. Okay, so let's jump back over here. Let's figure out why is there still an extra entity in the group? When we queue free, oh, you know what? This is because it probably happens at the end of the frame. So if we do the remove child like we did before, will remove child remove it from a group? Let's ask the Googles. Godot. Will remove child remove object from group? No, remove child does not remove it from the group. Okay. Okay. Okay, well, that answers that question. Okay, so let's see here. So it's still in the group until the end of the frame. We're doing all this before the frame ends. So that's why it's still showing up here. So this is not... What happens if we do like less than or equal to 1 and we just check and see if it is queued for deletion? Because that was one of our things, right? Is queued for deletion. Yeah, so why don't we do that? Let's try spinning this just slightly. So we queue free it. We check the player group. I don't care about that. If the nodes in group players.size less than or equal to 1, so if there's only 1 player left, my mind just went into what happens if we hit with a fireball and we lose a whole bunch of them. We'll cross that bridge when we get there. So let's go here and let's just check if let's do this. Let's make a players, and that's going to be an array. That's going to equal this. Hold on, let me just paste this code in here so I don't lose it. Paste this in. Okay, we're going to get all the players. Okay. If players dot size is less than or equal to 1. Oops, less than or equal to 1. If players 0 dot is queued for deletion. Like that. So this way, even if it's not technically freed yet, but we have marked it to be deleted, then that should now trigger that the party should be dead. So let's take a look at that and see if that helps. Okay, we got another player dead. Nope. Just move over here so we don't draw any new tiles. Stop being so resilient. Just die. There we go. Okay. There we go. And the game didn't crash. It ended as expected. Okay. So we just had to check to see if they're queued to be freed. Okay. So now that we checked if they're queued freed, we now have the party defeated emit. Okay. Perfect. And then that signaled the stuff to, do the game over. Okay. So now what we want to do is, let's see, where did we send that to? We have the party defeated signal, and do we send that up to the game board? Game board lost. Okay, so let's go back here. Let's look at our UI here. Okay, and then what we're gonna do, let's add in add child node. Let's do a color rect. No, let's do a control. Control, boom. And this will be the game over. Let's just call it the game over screen. There we go. We're going to make that the entire size. We're going to give it a, where's our mouse? Ignore. We definitely don't want to do anything there. Okay, let's add another child. Let's add a color rect. Okay, let's make it the full size. Let's make it black. Okay, perfect. And then let's add another child. Let's add a label. We'll make that dead center. We'll just do game over. Or how about this? Your party has died. I don't think, yeah, there we go. Your party has died. Okay, and then we're going to just give it a nice little red color. There we go. Your party has died. Perfect. There's our game over screen. Okay, and then what we can do here is by default, that will be nothing. Let's do, let's add a quick script to this. Game over screen. Do I have a UI? Core components, assets. Oh, we'll make a new folder. Call it UI. Okay, and then game over screen. Put that in there. Create. Okay. And then let's do a function underscore ready. And then we're going to just put visibility. Or do we want to do visibility or do we want to do, yeah, visibility, visible equals false. We definitely don't want it there. Function game over. And then we'll just make it visible. Visible equals true. And then we'll get tree dot create timer. Create timer. Let's do 3 seconds. Timeout. And then we'll do get tree dot quit. Okay. So we got that. We got this. That's fine. Okay, and then what we need to do up here, really should make that part of UI, but this is just gonna be quick and dirty for right now. We'll come back. You know what? I'm just gonna do remove these later. There we go. Then I have a note for myself to not use this anymore. Okay. Come down here, board lost. We're gonna then just call this game over screen dot what do they call it again? Game over. Game over. And one last thing we want to do probably here is we want to do the process. We want to make sure that the UI is always available. And then right here, get tree dot paused equals true. Okay, just so then our game doesn't process anything. Okay, let's try this. Let's see what happens. Real simple game over screen and turn. And turn. See if we can get killed. One more. There we go. Your party has died. Okay. So I didn't actually stop this from executing, even though it should have. This is where we need that persistence. Do we actually have... Let's go back in here. I lost my cursor. There we go. Project settings. Do we have an auto load? I think we did. Yeah, we do have a game manager. Okay, so let's load up our game manager. Game manager. Okay. Game manager ready. Game running. Bool equals true. Okay. And then when we do the back in here, game board, we'll just do this game manager dot game running equals false. Okay. And then when we can go into our decision engine, there we go. Execute step. Okay, so where was it that we were breaking? We're right here in the requirements. So before we execute the requirements, let's go back to, where's the root here? Run the logic. We can just do if game manager dot game running, do this, or not game running, return. Yeah. So then this should stop the run logic from running if the game is over. Okay. Let's see. Oh, you know what? Let's copy that. Let's keep that here. Each turn. You know what? Let's do that right here instead. This is fine, but then let's drop out if the game's not running. And there we go. Perfect. Okay. Okay, so we got that with the persistence. Let's see, we've got 20 minutes left. What else was on my... Oh, treasure. We want to add treasure. So when we defeat the monster. When the monster dies, the orc. So let's go back into our game manager here. Game manager. We're gonna make gold. You gotta give gold. All right. Okay. Gold. I'm just going to keep that as a variable for right now. When we get into the UI stuff, when we actually build the UI, we'll add in the animation so that the gold will count up and things along those lines. Okay, so let's go back here. So the orc, when the orc is killed, so let's go back to the combat manager. We got attack. Okay. Opponent's dice pool, so we attack and stuff like that. If they have died, okay, if target is monster, okay, and then we want to do game manager.gold plus equals random I range, and let's say 10 comma 25, so 10 to 25. Okay, and then oops, helps if we spell monster right. Okay, and then we want to print gold, or game manager.gold. Okay, so now each time we kill a monster, that should add a random 10 to 25 gold to us. So let's just try this out. Whoops, helps if I start in the right scene. So as long as they don't, okay, yep, so they didn't get any gold. I do have to come back in, and right now the player's attack range doesn't have a range. Okay, let's see. Okay, that should kill it. Okay, we got 17 gold. Kill another one. Now we got 32 gold. 57. Okay. Okay, so we're adding gold. We're doing the reward. We want to create a separate reward item system going forward. Let's go back to our cheat sheet here. So we have, if the monster dies, we get a reward. If player, we get the game over. So we can say that's done. We move towards the player now. We check again, take our action. So that, at least right now, is done. We award the gold. Chest roll for an item. We do not do that yet. We don't have any items. So let me think about how we want to approach that. I've only got a few more minutes here. So we want to build, because we are going to need, when we build the players, we're going to need an inventory system. We're going to need to know what weapon they're wielding and what cloak they're wearing. So we need an inventory system, which will also need a base item class so we can make item resources, item levels. Okay, so when we get into this, when we're going to build out monsters, heroes abilities, monsters, monster abilities, ability system. We need to build items. Build items. Okay, and item stats. We also need to build an inventory for characters. Okay. Yep. So we definitely need to add that into our list for the next milestone. So we got some gold stuff here. We don't really have much. Let's do a this action panel. I want to do one thing here. Where we have a reference, I think, to the action panel, right? We don't. Oh, the UI is a member of the game board. I'm just going to bring this in. Okay, we're going to do this. And where's the new turn? Advanced turn? Here we go. Combat manager is in group monsters, print monster. We're going to do action panel dot visible equals false. Okay. And then we're going to do else. That's going to be true. Wait, do I want that here? No, this is not where I want that. Because this is where we're going to show the tiles. So if this is a monster, do not show the possible tiles. Okay, so that's not where we want. End turn. Here we go. End turn. We're going to move to the combat manager, current turn node, actor true. So combat manager next turn. Combat manager next turn. Okay, we're calling next turn. We're force end. Okay. So we're saying the turn's over. Emit, turn manager, action, turn manager, current turn node, actor 2. Okay. And then that is setting the new character. And that is, we're emitting new turn here. So if we come back up to game board and we have new turn, we're connecting to new turn here somewhere. Combat manager, new turn, update active. If current actor, if it's in group monsters, run the monster logic. This is where we want to put visible. Else, we're going to put true. And all this is going to do is this is just going to hide our little action panel. So now if it's not a player turn, this should all go away. So if I move over to here, end turn, boom, monster's turn. We can't click any of the action panels. Now it's our turn. Now we can do it. Yep, see, we can't click anything. Okay. But now we can't see him because he's hidden behind there. But anyway. Kill us! Oh, we live to fight another day. Okay, let's see here. Party has died. Okay. So once I start getting into the players, I do have animations for all these guys. So we'll have death animations. They'll fall and die. They'll walk around the screen, all that stuff. We'll start doing that a little bit next. That's not the right thing. Here we go. We'll start building some of that here. I think a lot of that is going to be in this. We're going to work on the animations. Like right here, we're going to come back for the dice rolling. Tile placement, I have a couple ideas of dropping in the tiles and stuff like that. But we are getting very close here. So I think right now we explore, we can spawn, fight, and get rewards. So let's just add one more thing. I want to add in to minimize this. Let's go back into our UI. Let's add in, this is the entire, okay, this is the entire thing. Okay. So let's add in one more thing. Add in a child node. Let's add in an HBox container. And let's, inside of it, add in 2 labels. And this will be called gold. And then this will be gold value, or current gold. Let's call it current gold. Wow, I can't spell. Current gold. Okay. And then, so we got these. Let's put this, yeah, top left. That should be a fine spot to put it. So label current gold, and then this will be like 99, whatever, 999. Okay. And then what we're going to do, we'll just attach temporarily right now. We'll just do an embedded script. Extends label, and then do a function. Nope, not underscore, just function underscore. Let's do physics, just because I only want it to run 60 times, not 280 times. And then just do text equals game manager dot gold. There we go. Oh, I need string. There we go. So now as we play through, we should get our current gold. If we attack, Oops. Try again. Let's see if we can actually kill. Nope. One more time. Wow. Wizard. Get good. There we go. Gold 18. And then what we'll do is when we actually build out the UI, we're going to actually build signals. So when it goes there, it'll tell the UI our new value. And then the UI can handle all the animation of the values rolling up and stuff like that. So, okay. So there we go. So let's go back over here. Let's take a look. We have this. I'm just going to strike through on this one for right now. Do I have a strike through? Home? I don't have a strike through. Oh, there it is. Strike through. There we go. Boom. But this is the end of milestone number 3. So we have our combat basic gameplay. We can go through and we can fight. We can explore. Let's do one quick run before we wrap up today's stream. So if I go back to our game board, we change our starting tile back to a normal entrance and we start. So now when we move around, we can explore. Let's choose here. Oh, we got some orcs to fight. They're going to kill my wizard. Oh, no, he defended. Or a cleric. That's my cleric. He defended. Awesome. Good job. Why did it... Okay, we have a turn order problem. Because all the orcs... So let's go back here. Let's look at our playthrough. Okay, so player 2 moved. Area click, new child entered, spawned. New child is entered. So all these orcs spawned. They spawned at initiative 18, 20, and 1, or 19, 18, 20, and 1. And the player 2 was on 15. Ah, okay. So I think I see what happened here. Because it spawned on 15. Yep. I think it spawned it in the wrong spot, so I gave player 2 a second move. Okay. So we're gonna have to go back and take a look at that. Yeah, we might just want to add in, maybe next time we'll start adding in our initiative bar so then we can see exactly whose turn it is and when. So let's go back to this. Okay, we'll end our turn here. We'll get our rogue to move up. And move over here. Barbarian, we can't quite get there. He's got a ranged attack. We'll use that. Boom. Boom. Nope. Okay. We'll probably just spawn more orcs. No. Okay, good. Orcs are attacking. And killed my rogue. Okay. But still, we have our basic gameplay. We can explore. We can look. We can move around. We can look at tiles. We can do all this, fun stuff. We can, we've kind of got the beginning of a gameplay here. Still got to fix the action points. So maybe... Oh boy. Okay, so he was again on 15. Added these. Okay, so we got to go back. I'm going to make this note for next week. We're going to fix the initiative. So we got this. Fix initiative bug. Bug when adding new enemies. I'm just going to say exploring player gets second turn. Player gets second turn. Okay. Yeah. So what I think is happening is I'll have to go through and dig through this, but I think what's happening is when we add in the new characters, it's redoing the initiative pass and it's saying, okay, this is where it was, calculate again, and it's not advancing to the next actor properly. Yeah, I'll have to trace through the logic of that. That's getting very could get very convoluted very fast. You know what? Oh, let's do. Do we have no? And they are moving to the closest player. Double moving. Okay, and we are stopping at the right spot. We just have to fix the overlap, which I think fix new pathfinding to optimal square. I'm going to star that because we definitely need to do that. I need to dig into some algorithms to figure out, what is give me the best way to do it. Because right now, like, whatever, we'll just move you here. What I want to do is like if this orc, came down, A star determined that this was the optimal path. I don't want him to stack up on him, but if we just chop the points of the where he's going off, he's just going to follow the path and stop right here. And then it's just going to create a stack of all these orcs just waiting their turn to get to this space to attack him. What I'd rather have it do is go, okay, I can't get here because it's occupied. Can I get here? Let's find. Can I get here? Can I get here? Based on whatever their targeting algorithm says in their decision engine, and figure out, which path is optimal. So first they'll choose, maybe who's closest, and then they'll look at all these possible different squares. Oh, you know what? Maybe what we do, we target who's closest, we check all 4 squares around them if they're possible to move to, and then we move to one of them. That might be the way we go. Yeah, let me think about that. Let me think about the logic we want to use. This is like the problem with adapting, because if we go back over here, let's take a look at like D&D Adventure Goblin card. So if we do, where is, okay, D&D Adventure Tomb of Annihilation, and then totally misspelled that. Okay, of course that's going to bring up Magic the Gathering. I don't want Magic the Gathering. How about Castle Ravenloft? Castle Ravenloft skeleton card. There we go. That'll work. Open image in new tab. Boom. Right. So the way that these ones work is it says basically if they're adjacent to a hero, attack them. If they're within one tile of a hero, move adjacent to the closest hero and attack the hero with a charging slice. But these are all work on tiles, not on squares. And so, we're kind of doing the hero quest meshed with the D&D adventure stuff. So I kind of need to figure out how best to combine those two things together. So right now we're saying like one tile is 6 squares. I mean, technically our tiles are 4 squares, but when we start building the characters, we can change their movements. So maybe like the heavily armored orcs can only move 4 squares, but the lighter ones can move 6 or 8 or something like that. And then so we need to figure out, how do we trigger these properly, and to how to implement something where it's going to be each one of these bullet points is going to be, here's what we already wrote. It's called melee attack. Boom, we do that. If the skeleton's within one tile of a hero, it moves adjacent. So basically all we're doing is we find the closest hero. So maybe what we do is we add a new move that says move adjacent, and it just checks if it's 6 squares or less, it can move adjacent to a hero. And then if not, just pick a hero and move 6 squares towards them. So maybe we need to break that apart into multiple movement options in our stuff, but that's going to be milestone 4 that we're going to build, which hopefully we'll start next week. And then again, based on whichever, we're not going to have multiple attacks for our character. They're going to just be whatever item is equipped is then going to affect how many dice they have to roll. And we'll probably do have a damage set, or no, probably not, because we're going to do based on the number of skulls, or in this case swords, that get rolled. So that's kind of the idea. There's some other ones, like when we get into bosses and stuff like that. Open image, new tab. So if we get into this, if it's adjacent to an immobilized hero, then we use this type of attack. If it's within one tile of a hero, then we attack everybody on the tile. When we get into building the abilities of the monster, then we're going to have to probably tweak all this stuff. But the point with, the way I made this, the decision engine over here, decision engine, was basically we just build the steps, and then we find a valid step when we go through, and like in this case, the orc, here we go, the decision engine for the orc. We check to see if we can melee attack. If not, we move towards the player. We can start adding in all of these other, is it here? If it is, then attack with attack every hero on this square, or, something along those lines. So when we start designing abilities next week, or next milestone, next week, but next milestone, then we can figure out exactly what we need to add for all that stuff. So if you guys have any suggestions or stuff like that, right now, this is very generic fantasy. I don't have a whole lot. We have our 4 basic character classes. We have the, here we go. Here we go. Rogue, wizard, cleric, and barbarian. The assets I have some things like the rogue can throw a stick of dynamite. It has like a whirlwind of daggers and stuff that go around it. The wizard can throw fireball. It has some other spells too. Cleric has some healing. Barbarians have like a giant jump and stab. So we're going to build out some abilities that are going to match those animations, so we can use those. And then, we're going to start building out this type of stuff. I'm going to use a combination of Hero Quest and the Dungeon Dragon stuff I just showed you, to look at that. Because if we look at, like, say, come over here and we look at a Hero Quest skeleton card, they're going to be very different. Open image. Open image. There we go. So this one, this is, again, like kind of where I'm pulling the stuff from. 6 squares movement, 2 attack dice, 2 defense dice. Here's the body and mind. So, pretty simple stuff. And again, the items, the monsters, I'm not going to actually have items. So we're just going to make these a flat card, so that they always have whatever, their crossbow ones have 1 or something like that. I don't know. We'll worry about balancing when we get there. But I think with that, I think we have a good stopping point for today, because we finished up Milestone 3. Milestone 3 is there. We do have a couple things. I am kicking let me look at my written list. Actually, you know what? Let's go back over to our talking head here. Boom. So I'm going to take a look here at my written list. I'm still trying to get my new setup going. My Sony camera's over there. I still haven't got it in place yet, because I kind of like being able to move it and use it. But so fix we did that. We fixed the player physics. We stopped duplicating them. I have to work on the optimal square pathfinding. So I want to go through and I want to research the different ways I can use A star to try to figure out the optimal path, because A star right now is just most direct line. There it is, and that's where we go. So we don't want to have the stacking. So I want to research that. We need to rewrite the attack call, so that we want to make sure What were we talking about with that? Shit. I needed to put a little bit more detailed notes on that. Oh, right. The signal up, call down, signal up. I'm going to put that next to here. Call down, signal up. Okay. Just want to make sure I remember what I was doing with that. Okay, so I'll take a look at that and figure that out. And then we need to fix that initiative bug that we have. That one's going to be the biggest thing. Fixing the call down, signal up thing, that's totally under the hood. That's just for us programmers. That's nothing to do with what the players are going to experience. But the initiative mess up, that's going to affect the gameplay experience. So we definitely need to get that fixed. Same with the pathfinding. Those ones are going to affect the gameplay of the player and their enjoyment of it. So we definitely got to get those fixed. So we're at, let's see, let's commit what I have. I'm going to close out Godot here. Let me jump back over here so we can get into this and control. We'll zoom in so you can see this. Let's see here. We are at 26 and a half. So we did 2 more hours today. So we're at 28 and a half. So let's see. What did we do today? We did calculating the path. We fixed the pathfinding. So we can say our monsters move, and we added monsters move, gold, and game over. And this was at 28.5, we'll call it. Okay. So monsters move, we added gold, and game over. Okay. So we're at 28.5. So we're about an hour and a half ahead. I have a feeling where we are. Okay, let's push that up. Okay, there we go. That this right here, I've only allocated 10 hours for Milestone 4. I have a suspicion that Milestone 4 is going to overrun because we have not done this in GDD. We have not actually defined all their abilities, how it's going to work. We have not defined the monsters' abilities. We've defined the sprites that we have and the monsters we're going to build for this, but we do not have the actual implementation of those. And from when I built my original dungeon fodder, actually, let's bring this up here. Hold on one second. So if we come down, here we go. And actually, there we go, desktop audio. So if we come into our original, this is where I was working off from. Oh, I forgot. Got to select all my players. And so this is the original. Here's our animation. I had a druid instead of a thing here. And then we have these abilities like his scream that he's got. He's also got a, he's got that super cool thing. Wow, I've deselected some players. That's why. And then we've got, let's see here. We got, wrong button. I need to right click. Yeah, he's got like a flamethrower thing. Then he's got like a fireball that he also throws. So we've got some animations that we can use for this stuff. And again, like this was my original concept, was like an RTS extraction dungeon crawler thing that I was originally using. So there's definitely some, some stuff that can be fixed and stuff. It was kind of a cool idea. It was like an RTS, but anyway, so that's kind of like where this all started from and what we're building into. But again, thanks everybody for joining me today. I'm going to log off here, end the stream. But if you have any suggestions, feel free to, drop them in the comments or, look me up. Probably most of you have seen me crossed on some Discord servers, either on Michael Games or Aramis or what was the newer one I'm in? I think it's Fat Earth something. Can't remember the full name, but or even Try Games and stuff like that. So with that, I'm going to bid everybody a good evening or good afternoon. Some of you probably still morning, some might be evening, who knows? But I'll bid you a good day. How about that? And I will probably not be streaming again this weekend, but look forward to see me on next Thursday, probably back to my usual time of 10 a.m. Eastern. But keep an eye out on the channel, and I'll hopefully gonna have a couple of new videos hit YouTube as well this week. So without further ado, have a good one.